structures are fit for purpose in addressing the aspirations of our continent. This retreat is a testament to the collective resolve of our leadership to forge a stronger, more efficient, and resilient union, one that reflects the dynamism of Africa and responds effective participation. We signal our unwavering commitment to the reform process and to build an Africa that is united, prosperous, and globally influential. Principles of unity, solidarity, and accountability. The issues before us are not only institutional, they are deeply tied to the future of governance, economic integration, and sustainable development across our continent. Today, we have to come. And before I conclude, I missed out to acknowledge my boss, the Deputy Presidency, Musa Faki, to come and make some remarks before I call on His Excellency the President to speak.
Excellence William Samoei Ruto, Président de la République du Kenya, champion de l'Union africaine en charge des réformes. Mesdames et messieurs, distingués invités, mesdames et messieurs, c'est avec un réel plaisir que je prends la parole devant vous à l'occasion de cette retraite de haut niveau que Son Excellence William Samoei Ruto, Président de la République de Nairobi. Je voudrais remercier très sincèrement le Président Ruto pour cette initiative qui arrive à point nommé, crucial auquel notre organisation est confrontée. Je rends hommage.
I pay tribute to the 8 years after the launching of the institutional reform. A lot of water has flowed under the bridge. Substantive progress has been made under the determined leadership of President Paul Kagame, President of Rwanda, who was the first champion of reform, and I want to commend him. It is true that there is still much to be done in order to attain the objectives set by Decision 605 of July 2016 on the financing of the African Union adopted in Kigali, and Decision 635 on the reform of the institutions by the Assembly of President Ruto, whose dynamism is well known as the new champion of reform, bears witness to the rejoice at it. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I've had the historical privilege of having witnessed the initiation of the institutional reform in July in Kigali, 27 in July, as the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Chad and Chairman of the Executive Council. A day later, President Déby Itno, may his soul rest in peace, was then the current Chairman of the African Union. And in March 2017, Destiny wanted me to be the first chairperson of the African Union, commission to be in charge of the reform under the supervision of the reform, which is the action I want to commend. The institutional reform of the African Union, the amendment of the achievements, that is, which include the amendment to the election process, as well as the shortlisting mechanism for selecting the commissioners for the commission mandate of APRM, and have its budget included in the budget of the African Union. The objectives set up of the fund has been launched in Accra. Union is being improved with the adoption and implementation of the action, which is obviously not perfect, but initiated by the 15 African ministers of finance. And then with regard to relations with the regional economic communities, the results that we have obtained is encouraging. The second ordinary session of the African Union, which was held in June-July each year, has been replaced by a mid-year coordination meeting that brings together the 5 heads of state of the Bureau of the Assembly, the bringing together the 5 heads of state, members of the Bureau of the Assembly, and then the chairman, the current chairman of the 8 regional economic communities recognized by the African Union, and then the head of the Orientation Committee of NEPAD and the chairperson of the African Union Commission. Furthermore, the protocol on the relation between the African Union and the regional economic communities has been reviewed. The new protocol has been, member states and under the enlightened leadership of President Ruto, champion for reform, has made significant progress with the submission to 6-7 February. During the deliberations, I want to openly and frankly tell you the facts that I've noted and the lesson learned over the 8 years that I have been at the helm of the African Union Commission. It will behove you, and that will be led by President Ruto, because reform shakes up entrenched habits. Yes, reform is difficult, but it is necessary for Africa can find all its rightful place in the community of nations. I want to thank you for your kind attention.
Your Excellencies, with your permission, I would like to request His Excellency Mohammed Salem Mazog.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most, and may peace and blessings be on His messenger. Excellency William Samuel Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya and African Union champion for institutional reform. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, heads of state, and dear, it is a proud honor to address you today representing your brother, His Excellency President Mohamed Sheikh Al-Ghazwani, chairperson of the African Union, who unfortunately has been a gathering which he highly values. He has entrusted me with the responsibility of convey your wishes, our continent, and strengthen the path of unity and shared solidarity. May I, Your Excellency President Samuel Williams, and generous hospitality extended to a welcoming country, bestowed upon you by 6, leading His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the SIAM, vision and commitment. There is no doubt, and I'm confident that you will continue to lead the process of institutional reforms and drive forward what we want. This vision of our continent for sustainable development, regional integration, and shared prosperity. Remarkable achievements of His Excellency Rwanda, his vision nothing short of transformative. The reform of the African Union is not merely an noble ambition that we collectively pursue. The complexities of global situation marked by escalating crises underscore the need of Africa, our beloved continent, to its rightful position. Meaningful progress in fulfilling the legitimate development. To this end, an efficient structure. This will enable us to concentrate our efforts on advancing the continent's most pressing priorities, including strengthening of governance and transparency. A fundamental prerequisite for this, of course, is ensuring that the Union possesses sufficient financial effectiveness. The decisions we make as part of our structural reform process must be bold and resolute, aimed at unifying efforts close to harmony, coherent communities, regional mechanisms, and Member State Agenda 2063 of the African Union. Additionally, these decisions must be clear and unambiguous, leaving no room for African Union dictation principle. Just days before that threatened to derail the elections and raise doubts about a commitment to upholding this essential reform principle. However, the dying chairman of the African Union, in convening an extraordinary Executive Council meeting in March, enabled us with God's grace. Were able to resolve. And gentlemen, Excellencies, Heads of State, we stand at a pivotal moment in our history, a moment to strengthen our unity and realize aspiration. Let this milestone be the foundation of a strong, dynamic, and effective union that embodies Africa's collective ambitions for peace and active determination to implement our fair and transparent recruitment system. This system must attract the best talent from across the continent. As I conclude, allow me to express my heartfelt appreciation for your sincere efforts, and I would like to thank Moussa Faki's efforts over the years that he has served at the helm of the organization. I thank you. I would like to thank you and look forward to fruitful goals.
Thank you, Mr. Minister.
Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, c'est mon honneur.
And take us forward from there.
Excellency Moussa Faki Mohammed, Africa Union Commission Chairperson, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf and it is my profound honor that Your Excellencies have graciously accepted my invitation to participate in this extended Bureau retreat on the unity of purpose that binds us together as we chart the course for Africa's future. I have convened this retreat as the champion of the Africa Union institutional reforms following the assignment Your Excellencies gave me during the 37th Assembly of Heads of State and Government in Addis last year. This retreat is an opportunity to pause, reflect, and refocus our collective energies towards an African Union that is robust, efficient, and most importantly, fit for purpose. As Your Excellencies will recall, I was tasked with the role of re-energizing the reform process by ensuring the outstanding reform priorities are concluded as soon as is practicable. These reform priorities include the restructuring of the remaining Africa Union organs, institutions, union, regional economic blocs, and states. I was also tasked with reporting on the progress of reform in February. Yet within these challenges lie unlock the full potential of our continent through initiatives such as the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and other continental interventions. Galvanize political will and renew our collective commitment to a prosperous Africa. Your Excellencies, the Africa Union, from colonialism and apartheid, from oppression and from dependency. The transformation from the Organization of African Unity to the Africa Union was not a departure from this mission. Rather, it was an evolution, a shift towards addressing contemporary challenges and seizing new opportunities. Poverty, conflict, and underdevelopment, from unfair global trading practices, and from exclusion in the global decision-making must be strengthened, streamlined. My appointment as champion of Africa Union stakeholders to advance the reform agenda. These engagements include meeting with the Africa Union Commission leadership, led by the chairs, Reforms Unit Secretariat in a retreat that I convened in Naivasha, Kenya, on reforms that brought several actors together. Additionally, I Ababa, the leadership of the Pan-African, Dr. Donald Kaberuka, the AU representative for financing the Union, here in Nairobi. I wish to thank my dear brother, His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, for the outstanding work he did as the pioneer champion achievements in advancing the reform agenda of our organization. Excellencies, the road ahead demands bold leadership and unwavering commitment. Given that the implementation of the reform priorities is a pull of heads of state and government, with your concurrence, the formation of a committee of heads of state and government of the African Union on AU reform to oversee this process. This will ensure sustained momentum this August gathering to provide guidance on the appropriate formula for representation in the committee. To give focused attention to AU reform momentum, I'm also requesting that we consider the possibility of convening an extraordinary summit of heads of state and government later this year. Ladies and gentlemen, to realize the objective of the Africa we want as outlined in Agenda 2063, we must reinvigorate our political resolve to embrace Africa Union reforms, institutional reforms. These reforms are fundamental to transforming the Africa Union into a robust institution capable of securing a progressive and united Africa. A prosperous, integrated, and globally competitive Africa is within our reach, but only if we act with it. The continent is facing unprecedented challenges regarding peace and security. Conflict continues to rob Africa of its potential, costing the continent an estimated $18 billion annually and displacing millions of people. Africa today is home to 35 million internally displaced persons, 8.9 million refugees. Between April and June 2024 alone, a total of 1,000 terrorism incidences were recorded across Africa, resulting in 4,818 deaths. This is an existential moment for our continent. The African Union security architecture, in its current configuration, is incapable of addressing these complex dynamics and challenges, and there is an urgent need for immediate revitalization. Remains weak, fragmented, and network of special envoys and high representatives is underutilized and urgently needs refreshing in certain cases. As peace is the key precondition for development, are being hindered by the effectiveness of Africa Union peace support operation is a strategic imperative given the volatile, complex, collective, fragmented, reactive, poorly countering terrorism in Africa, as foreseen by the 2022 Malabo Declaration, cannot wait any longer. I urge you, my esteemed colleagues, to reflect deeply on how we can further fortify our peace and security architecture. One pertinent, perhaps 3 experts, to conduct a comprehensive review of our AU peace and security framework. This panel would also assess the feasibility of implementing the UN Security Council Resolution 21 mandated. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is regrettable that despite the Assembly's decision to limit, the agenda continues to remain excessively complex and time-consuming. This complexity continues to hamper the efficiency and effectiveness of our deliberations at the summit. To streamline the Assembly's proceedings, that includes a high-level opening session followed by a dedicated session for national statements by heads of state and government focused exclusively on the 3 agenda items. Each one of us will, at the close of the Assembly session, the chairperson of the Union and chairperson of the Commission proposed that the AU Commission be mandated to publish the Assembly and Executive Council decisions within 7 days of the summit's conclusion. And Excellencies, dear colleagues, Africa possesses the possibility and the capabilities and resources has been a commendable step forward. But we must consolidate these gains and set even more ambitious financial goals. Domestic resource mobilization and strategic partnerships will play a pivotal role, all the while upholding the fundamental principles of African ownership and African leadership. Since 2020, mandates and the creation of new institutions, our ambitions must be matched by a predictable, sustainable, and accountable financial framework. I therefore propose for your consideration again the convening of and present to the Assembly viable options 5 years, financing the Union, Dr. Don options to achieve these targets. And I'm happy that Dr. Kaberuka is in our midst. A critical priority that must be pursued with renewed vigor. This judicial body is essential in providing a legal mechanism for the resolution of disputes between African states, as well as between of decisions of the African Union Administrative Tribunal, thereby enhancing the credibility and efficacy of our continental legal framework. Although the protocol of the Court of Justice of the African Union came into force in July 2009, its implementation was deferred to facilitate the merger with the African Court on Human, and it is now imperative that we move forward decisively in operationalizing this vital institution, and I will be presenting of judges. The revitalization of the Pan-African Parliament is a matter that demands our collective focus and commitment. During a recent consultative meeting in Nairobi with the leadership of the Pan-African Parliament, we reaffirmed the need for a high-level advocacy to secure the ratification of the Malabo Protocol by an additional 13 members, thereby reaching the required threshold of 28 ratifications. As of now, only 15 countries have ratified the protocol, which seeks to empower the Pan-African Parliament with permanent membership and legislative authority to formulate model laws that will shape the governance of our continent. As champion of the African Union reforms, I call upon your excellencies to rally behind this effort and accelerate. I wish you all fruitful deliberations. Let us work together towards producing empowering and impactful outcomes that will drive the reform process forward and position our union for greater achievement. Again, to all of you,
Your Excellency, with your permission, I will now call upon the heads of state to make their statements. May I start by calling upon the Honorable Azali Assoumani, President of the Union of Comoros.
Excellence.
Excellency, dear brothers, Dr. William Ruto, Dr. Abaka Iyame, Excellency brothers, the Chair of the African Commission, Mr. Moussa Faki, dear brother, Head of State and Head of Government, Ministers, Honorable Assistants, Assalamu alaikum. Allow me, first of all, to say, to disseminate my sincere thanks to our brother, Dr. William Ruto, President of Republic of Kenya, and also to his government and of the African, and also for the warm welcome that has been given to us by his people any time that we are coming in Kenya, especially this beautiful capital of Nairobi. I would like to thank our dear brother Moussa Faki Mahamat, Chair of the African Commission, with His Excellency President Ruto, have taken the general reform of African Union a couple of months before giving this duty to his successor. I would like to thank also sincerely our brother Paul Kagame, the process that also thank the initiative and these high-level retreat focusing on institutional reforms as well as structure of the African Union. I won't be too long because our two brothers, Moussa Faki and Ruto, have already said it all. However, there's some that were ordered to adapt ourselves to the current situation. Therefore, now that we are preparing ourselves for the 38th ordinary Pan-African meeting, this meeting gives us an opportunity to highlight and to bring out important point of these reform that was held in March 2018. And I would like to congratulate my brother President Ruto for his brilliant presentation about the current reforms. And if these reforms today has had a lot of progress since his launching, as he has just underlined. So it is, of course, there are a number of challenges that we need is efficiency, operational efficiency, and to be able to reach to a level of having sustainable financing, as well as with the support of African citizens. Mr. President Moussa Faki has sent me a document, and this document highlights the situation of our organization as well as the different structures and also during his tenure as the chair of the Union African. I would like you to applaud him for because of these important documents that I had the opportunity to read, and I've also responded to him. So I would like to share with him the trust that I have towards also my brother President Ruto, based on these documents. And I think, as you have said, it is the right time to establish a committee that can our challenge, which is the Agenda 2063 of the African Union. On top of these challenges, we also have the current conflict that are rising in Africa, on the African continent as well as across the world. Under this context, as well as geopolitical challenges that really are shaking Africa as well as the world, as we have said before, Africa has all the potentials and that will help him to overcome his ambition for the Vision 2063, as well as establishment of CFTA and all the progress that has been highlighted based on these projects. And I believe that we'll continue all that we are doing will allow us to resolve some issues, and especially also to give all this project to the next generation and help them and give them a result that will enable them to move forward our continent. And allow me to also mention a number of things that are really shaking Africa. I think it's a very good lesson that has given to us. We need to move forward in order to find solution to those challenges that we are facing today. So it's up to us in our organization to make sure that our organization may be getting at the high level, at the international level. And I would like to thank Mr. Ahmed for the effort that you have done. And I look forward for much better progress in the future. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It is Republic of Guinea-Bissau.
My brother, Dr. William Samuel Ruto, State Vice President of Kenya, Musa Faki, President of African Commission, ministers, member states present here. I feel honored to participate in this retreat that is crucial for our continent. We are here on the institutional reforms of the African Union to better serve the aspirations of our contest that has been changing, and the resilience of our institutions will determine if we will efficiencies. The reforms that we are discussing today are not only processuals, 63, for a prosperous Africa and globally influent. We salute the leadership of the President Paul Kagame, and now the chair is on the hands of President Ruto. Labor that has to be given to the member states that is fundamental to a coordinated union and efficiency. We need to rationalize the responsibilities, able to guarantee that African Union can work as an unified institution for results. Stability from the 57 entities. For the reforms, we were able to make significant progress, but we need to continue with our work so that we can report on February 27. Financial budget is essential for our activities. The tax of 0.5 to finance. However, we still have challenges in implementation, and I call all member states to honor their commitments, the revitalization of the peace within African Union, as well as the Act 27 of the United Nations. We need to cooperate for peace and securitizing internal resources, mobilizing partnerships, and also creating a committee. We have a committee that was created by the President William Ruto for accountability. This platform will bring the needs of our population. While leaders, we need to defend these reforms and maintain them steadfast. We need to act not only representing our nations, but also protecting the collective destiny of Africa. Your Excellencies, Today we are in this retreat for our common objective. We have many challenges, but the opportunities are bigger. So may this retreat bring out our commitment in building a committed African Union, and that is equipped to drive our continent to an era of peace and global influence. Asante sana. Muito obrigado.
Selassie, President of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya and champion of the African Union institutional reforms, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Your Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, distinguished ministers and delegates, and ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to express my sincere gratitude to the people and government of the Republic of Kenya for the warm and gracious hospitality extended to me and my delegation. And I would also like to extend a warm greetings from your friend, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who couldn't be with us today, place in Addis. Leadership and still comprehensive update on the progress of the African Union institutional reform. We acknowledge with appreciation the invaluable contribution of the former champion of this reform, His Excellency President, in building a strong. It is important to acknowledge the significant union institutions and rationalize them is crucial for enhancing efficiency. Our commitment to ownership and accountability is evident in initiatives like the F-15 Finance Ministers Committee, the Revitalized Peace Fund, exceeding, as mentioned earlier. Excellencies, while acknowledging the strides that we have made, we recognize that significant challenges remain in fully realizing the African Union's potentials. I wish, along this line, to emphasize on the following: inclusivity. This retreat provides a crucial framework for building consensus and engaging in many, provide significant impetus for AU reform. It will serve, Mr. President, as a foundation for a more robust and inclusive engagement with all member states, ensuring that their valuable contributions are effectively incorporated. Probably a question that is pretty much dear to us is the question of financial sovereignty. The new global geopolitical and economic landscape and the weakening of multilateralism underscores the urgent necessity of the African Union reform agenda. Self-sufficiency, not merely in innovative financing mechanisms, but also in cultivating an enabling environment across diverse sectors, is imperative. Excellencies, recommitment is insufficient. We must treat this reform as a matter of the survival of this very institution. On a personal note, the recent inauguration of Ethiopia's restored National Palace, standing in front of the African Hall, serves as a touching reminder of the immense time, dedication, and visionary thinking invested by our forefathers in establishing the African Union, the first continental organization. Jomo Kenyatta, Kwame Nkrumah, Haile Selassie, State Secretary Gamal Abdel Nasser, and many more. Endeavor was a Herculean task, and our reform agenda, if not more demanding, is certainly no less daunting. Our union can stand on its feet only if we can meet the goals we set to cover 75% of our program budget and 25% of peace support mission. In this connection, we have to advance creative financing, including by encouraging private investment from our continent. Third, prioritizing and streamlining the EU agendas. If we want to ensure a laser-focused sight on critical reform areas, maximize impact, and effectively allocate resources, prioritizing and streamlining the EU's agenda is of a paramount importance. It is also equally important to make sure we pursue a comprehensive study on the division of labor among the EU regional economic communities and member states must remain a priority. Fourthly, fostering a culture of strong dialogue. Regular and in-depth discussion, as we are doing today, such as the one we are partaking, are vital. This approach will also facilitate the effective support of my brother, President Ruto, in championing the Africa Union reform agenda. Moreover, we need to further foster a strong political will for the successful implementation of this reform agenda. Fifth, enhancing the coherence and synergy of EU initiative on the global stage. While we have successfully articulated our collective interest on the global stage, challenges remain in ensuring that our various initiatives are effectively coordinated and mutually reinforcing. We must strive for greater coherence and synergy to maximize our impact on global issues. At this particular moment, I would like to welcome the progress made in securing predictable and sustainable financing for EU-led peace support operation through UNSS contribution through the adoption of United Nations Security Council Resolution 2719/2023. One of the critical shortcomings in considering this partnership is the fact that the EU doesn't have a dedicated peace support operation directorate, as we have at the United Nations. Therefore, it is critically urgent and important the UN section. A robust and concerted implementation of the reform agenda is imperative. The success of this endeavor hinges upon our collective political will. Let us therefore work together to ensure that the African Union emerges as a stronger, more unified, well-equipped support to Your Excellency, President Ruto. I have heard your deep introspection, your thoughts, and forward-looking proposals, and I assure you that you have our full support, and I wish you a successful implementation of the African institutional reform agenda. Asante sana, I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me invite His Excellency John Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency William Ruto, Your Excellencies, heads of state and government here present, Your Excellency, Chairperson of the AFRIS, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure and honor to join you on this august occasion where we gather to interrogate a very important issue, such as the Agenda 2063, having attained the initial aim of our founding fathers, which is liberation from colonial rule. Before I proceed, allow me to extend my heartfelt appreciation to my dear brother William, His Excellency William Ruto, this second home of ours in the beautiful city of Nairobi, a land that embodies the spirit of Africa's resilience and innovation, and I thank the organizers for convening this crucial retreat at such a pivotal time in the journey of our dear African Union. The invitation and visiting Accra on the 7th January during my investiture ceremony. Your presence was an expression of the deep friendship between our good selves and our good nations. It underscored the strong, long-standing bond of friendship that has so happily existed between Ghana and Kenya, and I look forward to working closely with you to deepen these relationships for the mutual benefit of our two peoples. Your Excellencies, today we gather not just as leaders but as stewards of a vision of an Africa that is united, self-reliant and prosperous. This vision was first articulated by the founders of the Organization of African Unity and later advanced by the establishment of the African Union, and it remains our guiding light and principle. Yet as we stand at the crossroads of opportunity and challenge, we must critically reflect on our progress and recalibrate our strategy. Union is a bold and necessary initiative aimed at transforming our continental body into a more efficient, financially independent, and effective institution. The African Union, as our collective institution, has achieved remarkable milestones in its journey, and that is from spearheading the African Continental Free Trade Area to advancing peace and security through initiatives such as the African Union Mission in Somalia, AMISOM, and the African Peace and Security Architecture, APSA. The AU has demonstrated its potential as a unifying force. However, the challenges we face today demand more than just incremental progress. They require some bold and transformative reforms. Our continent faces a unique set of declining the AU commissions, clarifying roles and eliminating redundancies. We can establish a more agile organization that is better equipped to address the evolving needs of our continent. Efficiency must be the guiding principle of our continent. Efficiency must be the guiding principle in how we conduct our affairs, ensuring that our policies and programs translate into real change for our people. We must adopt mechanisms ensuring that every resource is maximized for the benefit of the African people. Your access on external partners for funding compromises the organization's independence and ability to set its own agenda. The implementation of the Kigali decision on financing the Union must be expedited. A self-reliant African Union is not just a vision we have, it is an imperative to achieve. This includes adequately resourcing the African Standby Force and leveraging partnerships to address emergency threats such as terrorism, cybercrime, and climate-induced displacements. Indeed, this is very important for us, especially in West Africa, considering the challenge we face from terrorism. Africa's future lies absent in policy making. We must institutionalize frameworks that empower our young people and our women to lead at all levels of governance. A woman as our vice president. The energy of our youth, creativity, and vision are the drivers of the Africa that we all seek to build. The African Continental Free Trade Area has set the foundation for a single African market. We must harmonize regulatory framework. Additionally, the AU must champion technological innovation and digital transformation as catalysts for economic growth and inclusion. And in this, we wish that the African payment system that allows us to pay seamlessly for goods traded between our countries is expedited so that we can have a system of exchange. Ladies and gentlemen, none of these reforms will succeed without committed leadership at every level of the African Union. We as heads of states and governments over our parochial interests and to act decisively in the interest of our continent. But leadership does not end with us. The Union must foster partnership whose contributions are vital in shaping and implementing reforms. This is a shared responsibility, and together we can achieve the African Union we all envision. To achieve a conflict-free Africa, we must strengthen the African Standby Force and enhance our collaboration with regional economic communities. A well-coordinated and responsive security mechanism will allow us to address conflicts swiftly without over-reliance on external actors. Additionally, good governance, respect for human rights, and the consolidation of democracy must remain at the heart of our efforts to maintain stability and peace across our dear continent. The winds of change are blowing across the African continent, and the world is watching. Let us rise to the occasion. Not we can and will shape a stronger, more opportunity for candid dialogue and bold action. Let us approach our discussions with open minds and a shared commitment to progress. The reforms we champion here are not merely procedural. They are about the future of our people, the realization of Agenda 2063, and Africa's rightful place on the global stage. Let us leave here united in our resolve to build an African Union that truly reflects the aspiration of the African people, a union that is capable of meeting the challenges of today and the opportunities of tomorrow. In closing, I wish to reiterate Ghana's strong commitment. The long-standing board of cooperation between Ghana and Kenya continues to flourish, and I'm confident that our collaboration will yield even greater benefits for our two peoples. Together we can build an Africa that is resilient, prosperous, and united, and I look forward to a fruitful deliberation. Asante Sana.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, that marks the end of the opening session of the retreat. We shall now transit to the closed session, and my colleagues from Rwanda and Tunisia will make their statements at the closed session as the closed session begins. Thank you, and let's proceed.